and isn't owned by the NRA, he will be the one exception in the Republican Party there. So all the common sense things that I think almost every NRA member agrees with, that we should have universal background checks, that we should limit ammunition, that we should limit the ability of the fast-firing things, that we should ban terrorists, people that are on the no-fly list for buying guns. My specific lead bill the last 2 years has been the red flag bill, to give any of us in the room the ability to petition the courts to put a family member on the background checklist if they're in a psychiatric crisis, deep depression or psychosis. This is a bill that's passed California and Texas. We need to have it on a national level. It's something that could have prevented Virginia Tech, showed that everyone knew was a paranoid schizophrenic, but was able to buy guns legally to kill those 30+ kids. So I will continue to be the strongest advocate I can for reducing gun violence in America, and I will continue to stand up for the NRA.
In regards to the Human Sex Trafficking Act, is Mr. Beyer, I think he was only 1 out of 20 or 17 people that voted against it. Please do your research. Don't believe me, don't believe Mr. Beyer. Everyone just do their research before they vote. But that actually shows how partisan Mr. Beyer is. And there's nothing wrong with being a Democrat, but when there's a big positive bill just like that, you have to look past party lines. And I've done that. Prime example, I'm a gun sense candidate by mom's demand, actually, as a Republican. You know, that's a surprise. And if you go to the NRA site, and no one owns me, the only people that really own me are individual citizens right here, because I'm working for you. If you look at my NRA rating, it has a bunch of question marks, because the NRA said, hey, you became a gun sense candidate, but you actually filled out a survey pretty well. And I said, well, that's the most swampiest thing that you can ever do to me. And he's like, well, anyone that's a gun sense candidate, we give them Fs no matter what, even if you mentioned everything, you checked everything on the block. My sense to guns is, I'm an Army veteran, Army Airborne Ranger infantry officer, and Mr. Beyer disagreed with it, but I say that guns don't kill people, people kill people. So you have to look at the individual and what you can do. As far as school safety, teachers shouldn't have guns unless they're an ex-cop or undercover police officer. But we need to actually protect schools. If you're an active shooter, would you try to go to the Pentagon? No, right? You want to make sure all these soft targets are hard targets. Also, I believe criminal background checks, that already exist. We need to make sure that guns actually are in the hands of law-abiding citizens so they can protect themselves.
Do you support work requirements for SNAP recipients? And SNAP is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program.
If they are 100% able to work and there is work for them, then yes, I believe that everyone should do their part. Even a Democrat, JFK, who would probably be a Republican, said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. And as far as entitlements, Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid, I want to make sure that people who are actually fully disabled, whether you're blind, you're unable to work, or you're mentally disabled, that you're receiving the maximum amount of benefits possible. Right now, I feel like there's people who are taking advantage of the system, and that creates an unfortunate for people who truly, truly need it. And that's what Republicans want. We want to help people, and we want to make sure that nobody is abusing the system, because we want equality for all, we want fairness. And that's what my goal is, to make sure that people aren't taking advantage of the less fortunate who really, really need it. I actually did a tour around service stores for a disabled community organization, and they told me that only 60% of costs are covered under Medicaid. Why? Because there are people who are using it when they don't really need it. And I want to make sure that people who really, really do need it receive all the entitlements that they can possibly have. Also, Mr. Beyer, he actually ignored ADAPT Virginia and DC 9 times, if you actually look at it, against the Disability Integration Act. So I'm here to be a representation for the disabled community.
On the work requirements, I think we have to be very careful. The thoughtful people who look deeply into it assume that, I think, conclude that only about 10% of the people, less than 10%, I've seen the numbers as low as 6% of the people that are getting SNAP benefits are able to work and could and should be working. And so if we can craft that carefully enough, then yes, let's do it. But we have to be incredibly aware of the unintended consequences, which are that many of these so-called able-bodied people are taking full-time care of children. They're taking and by the way, working for $7.20 an hour, you can't pay for child care. Or they're taking care of elderly parents. We have a memory care problem in this country, which is enormous. Any one of us here who's trying to pay for the care for their parents realize how quickly you run out of money. Or they're in a community, it's like Southwest Virginia, where there are no jobs. Or where the job is an hour away and they don't have a car. Or where the job is $7.20 an hour. And you're working less than 30 hours a week, so you have no benefits, no sick days, no holidays, or anything else. So the work thing is, again, one of those easy to demagogue issues, but somehow assumes that Americans want to be on food stamps. That they want to go take advantage of the system. There's a great new essay by Isabel Sawhill on the Americans left behind. And the number one thing that they want is to be independent and self-sufficient and be full of self-respect. No one wants to be on stamps.